Is everybody enjoying their first day at Astrocon? Come on, here's something. All right, here we go. All right, so today's agenda, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background about us, who we are, and how we got involved with Digium and with Switchvox. Then we're going to talk a little bit about you guys. I want to find out a little bit about what you guys do and what kind of solutions you're bringing to the table today. And then we're going to kind of make some definitions so that you guys know what I'm talking about and we're talking the same language. And then we're going to talk about the various opportunities that are out there to build a profitable service business on top of Switchvox, or it could be on top of Asterisk. But we're going to talk about some of those things. And then we're going to talk about how we got to recurring revenue. That's like the Holy Grail, right? If you're a service provider, you want to have that monthly income coming in every month. And so we'll talk about how we got there. And we'll talk about actually what we refer to as our managed VoIP services offering, what it looks like, what's included, how we price it. And hopefully you guys will find some value in that. And then we'll kind of dive into some of the other service opportunities. And I want to get some feedback from you on how you guys go about doing implementations and ongoing support. And then at the end, we'll take a couple of minutes for a little bit of Q&A. So a little bit about me. I'm from Texas. I know that's hard to tell with my accent, that you probably would have thought I was from New York or somewhere. But first of all, I'm not here to filibuster like Wendy Davis from Texas. I don't know if you guys saw that in the news not too long ago. And I'm not here to run for governor. I'm certainly not here to talk about the Rangers, so although the Braves got knocked out last night as well, so. Wow. And of course, my Cowboys, Tony Romo snatched defeat from the jaws of victory again. So we'll talk about other things instead. So a little bit about our company. We're one of Digium's leading partners. We've been in the Pinnacle Circle of Excellence for the last couple of years. We've got more than 100 installs under our belt. And in addition to phone systems, we also do IT support for small businesses as well. So let's talk a little bit about you guys. So how many people here sell and manage Switchvox today? 1, 2, 3. Got about 8 or 10 in here, so all right, awesome. How many are Asterisk consultants? Got a handful of those. Build, sell, and manage Asterisk phone systems. Got quite a few of those, all right. Other brands of VoIP systems, a couple of those, all right. Any legacy phone system vendors here? Okay. And anybody just realize they're in the wrong presentation? If you are, this is the time to go to the other one. So when I go visit a new client, this is one of the first things I talk to them about. I call it VoIP's dirty little secret. This ain't your father's Oldsmobile, right? So legacy phone systems, they're installed in the phone closet on the wall. Day one, they've got a software image on them. If you come and visit that system 10 years later, it probably has the same software image on it, right? They never change it and they never touch it. How many of you have ever walked into a client and asked them about their phone system and they just say, well, we've got a lot of extensions that have the wrong name on the voicemail or the wrong greetings. We just can't figure out how to change it, so we just leave it like it is, right? So their phone system obviously is not, molded to their business. They're molding their business to their phone system. And so we want to try to do, too, is get them to that system, to let them know, though, that that new VoIP phone system is going to be a living, breathing software system. It's going to be regularly updated. There's going to be new features introduced, but, that's going to require ongoing maintenance. So we've got to get that mindset with the customer on the front end that, hey, this is going to be different than the way you did things in the past, but it's going to help you grow your business and help you communicate with your clients and customers and vendors and everybody else a lot better. So kind of that customized approach. We're gonna mold the phone system to your business rather than vice versa. So service opportunities. So where are they? So obviously there's a design and implementation. So we're selling a phone system, but we've got to bundle in services to go along with that. And then after the system's installed, we've got, the old break fix support, right? Break fix, something breaks, I go fix it. And then we've rolled out a package we call Switchvox Managed Services, where we basically charge the customer a fixed price per month and we take care of the phone system. We give them that kind of a managed or cloud experience, even though in a lot of cases it's on premise. Obviously, there's options to self-SIP trunking, wholesale or agency. There's other services that you can wrap around doing deployments like, readiness assessments, and then, making changes to the customer's network to make sure it's VoIP ready. So, and then you can add in other cloud services, even things as simple as doing offsite backups of the phone system every day, right? Little add-ons that, if you have a lot of customers, it starts adding up after a while. So let's talk a little bit about some definitions. So recurring revenue, those are things that you get paid monthly or annually for, but you sell it once, but you're billing for it every month or every year. So that's cloud services, managed services, those kind of things. So how many people in here have managed or cloud services they offer today? How many wish they did? Anybody else that really wants to have that? Okay. Break fix services, that's the reactive services, typically billed by the hour, time and materials, different ways you might want to call it. Managed services, that's the kind of the outsourcing type of scenario. I call it a fixed price, all you can eat support, right? So it's just, we have a suite of services. We're going to bill you the same amount every month. It doesn't matter if we do 2 hours of support or 10 hours. If there's a system failure and we got to recover it, it takes 20 hours to recover it, that's on our nickel, not the customer's nickel. And then professional services automation or PSA software, that's things that are used to manage an IT services business. Things like Autotask or ConnectWise or TigerPaw. Who here today has Autotask? Any Autotask users here today besides me? A couple of us here. ConnectWise, anybody? ConnectWise, all right. Anybody else use other systems, TigerPaw or anything else? All right. And then there's remote monitoring and management tools such as level platforms that are enabled so that we can monitor those client systems and be proactively alerted if there's problems. We can do patching and do other things with those tools as well. So this is a little bit about how we got to where we are. So we started out as just a traditional IT break-fix project company in 2002. It was a eat what you kill mentality. So we'd hustle around and we'd sell something, and then revenue would start going up, and we would hustle around and deploy all the things that we sold, and then revenue would go down, and it would go up, and it would go down. Very difficult to predict. And our clients just saw us as a vendor. They would just say, well, the phone guy showed up, the computer guy showed up. We weren't really a business partner. They just somebody that they could have been a plumber or anybody else, right? So that wasn't what I wanted to be with my clients. And sometimes if we did a good job, we'd work ourselves out of a job for a couple of years, right? We'd install a rock-solid network, and the customer wouldn't do any maintenance on it, but it would still run. And finally, 3 years later, there would be another upgrade cycle. But in that interim, there wasn't any ongoing business. And we actually started trying to do IT managed services back in 2004. We bought a monitoring platform and thought, woo, we're in the managed services business, but turns out it takes more than just a monitoring platform to be a managed service provider. So, and we actually sold our first VoIP customer in 2004 also. We were actually selling hosted VoIP. At that time, we were very afraid of getting into the voice business because we didn't offer 24/7 support. We didn't really know what we didn't know. So we partnered with somebody to do a hosted VoIP solution, and over those next 3 years, we actually built a nice little $12,000 a month recurring revenue stream, which was pretty nice. I called it mailbox money, I'd go out to the mailbox every month, get my check, and I didn't have to do any work to make that happen. So, but the landscape changed, and our hosted VoIP provider exited the market, so we couldn't sell any new customers. So at that point, we started selling Switchvox. But then we ran into the same problems we ran into on the IT business. we go out and sell something, revenue would go up, then it would go down, up and down. So we were only offering support on a time and materials basis after we did the installation, so it was very unpredictable. And then by 2009, we started our, kind of really trying to come up with our package and services for our managed IT services. And so we actually added 10 managed IT clients in 2009, about $25,000 a month in recurring revenue. So, and we started offering cloud services as well at that time. That started taking off. And so we took our IT services, managed services offering, and we kind of dumbed it down for voice and started offering Switchvox managed services as well, and started adding those recurring revenue onto our scenario. So when we're going out to talk to a prospective client, this is kind of our rhetorical question we ask them when it comes to managing their phone system. Do they want to be doing all of these things, maintaining the system, or do they want to be running their business? So generally they don't have an IT department, or if they do, they're already swamped with doing other things. They don't always know voice very well. So we try to bring this as their kind of our way that we get them to understand how important it is to be managing that phone system. And so this is what we call it. We have our brand name for our managed services is called Spot. And we like to say that Spot is your VoIP system's best friend, or if we're on IT, we're your IT system's best friend. And it's really our answer to providing that proactive management to really keep those mission critical systems running. It's a combination of remote and on-site services, and it's everything related to the phone system we're taking care of for a fixed price per month. And these are all the things that we do. So we do admin training, we do end user training. They've got a new employee starts. We give them our tip sheet that shows them how to make a call, take a call, put a call on hold, check voicemail, do a 3-way conference call, and how to log into their switchboard. But then we'll also do 15-minute webinars with end users to train them on how to use a switchboard, set up their phone books, how to do drag and drop, how to set up their queue panels, different kinds of things like that. Then we do hardware warranties on the phones. So if we sell them Digium phones, after 1 year, the warranty's expired on those phones, but we still cover the warranty after that first year. And that's a low cost for us, because guess what? The phones just hardly ever fail, right? They just run and run and run, but it's a big value add in the customer's mind. So we do automated off-site backups. We put together a system documentation book. We leave a copy on site, and we keep a copy at our help desk. We monitor their systems. So Digium's been gracious enough to provide us with all the SMP OIDs, so we know, if the SIP provider's down, if the system's down, if there's high CPU, memory, other kinds of utilization on the system. And there's more alerting coming down the pike, so that's great news as well. We also do vendor management, where we become the liaison for the customer with their carrier, with any other vendors that have to do with their phone system. We do semi-annual on-site reviews of the system, so I call it almost like a paid sales call, right? So I'm going to be there talking about all the things that we did with their phone system in the past 6 months, but I'm going to get them to talk about what's going on in their business in the next few months and try to find opportunities where we can help them and sell them other things, cloud services, or IT services, all of those kind of things. And we take care of their network switches. We do what we refer to as fractional CIO consulting, so they can call us and ask us about any big picture kinds of things about their business. If the server fails, then we recover it on our nickel. Obviously, we keep everything under Switchvox maintenance and hardware warranties on the Switchvox appliance. We do all the help desk support, so they can call in with any issues they're having as much as they want. And we do fixed pricing. So it's very simple and easy, straightforward to go. So here's a typical customer. We got Digium Switchvox with 50 phones, approximately 45 desk phones, a couple of cordless phones, a soft phone, a couple of conference room phones, a small call center with 5 call center agents, and typically we're charging around $435 per month for that service. And so here's some things that if you want to become an MSP, these are some of the different pieces that you would need. So The first thing you want to do is make sure you've got a help desk where all the tickets are coming in. So, if you've got engineers out there and customers are calling them directly, I can guarantee you things are going to fall through the cracks, right? So you got to make sure that the ticket's getting generated and that somebody's following through on all those kind of things. It doesn't matter how small or how big you are. If you're small today, you're going to get to this point quickly. So you want to make sure you've got that in place. You want to make sure that you've got all of your documentation for each of your clients. What's the login to the portals? How's their network laid out? What does the logical network map look like? What's their IP addressing? Who's their carrier? What's their public IPs on their carrier? What's all their DIDs? Have you contacted the carrier and have yourself added as an authorized technical support? All the things that you want to have done ahead of time so that when there's a problem, you can get right on it and start working on it instead of having to spend an hour or two trying to figure out what they have. So, and then we always say that you need to really have those professional service automation tools and those monitoring tools in place so that you can automate a lot of these things. So if the system's down, the monitoring system can see that the system's down. It can automatically generate a ticket and assign it to someone so that you're working on it quickly, so that you're calling the customer on the cell phone, on his cell phone, and saying, "Hey Joe, your system's down. We're already working on it," right? So, because in the real world, what happens usually, the customer's their own monitoring system, right? They realize the system's down. They're calling you. And in the back of their mind, they're thinking, why didn't you know about this? I'm paying you. Why aren't you monitoring our system? So what we want to do is get to that point where we're being proactive rather than reactive. So, and then you want to train your help desk staff to perform all the basic moves, adds, and changes, right? If you've got a voice engineer and you're paying him $90,000, $100,000, $110,000 a year, do you really want him making moves, adds, and changes? It's not very cost effective, right? But if you've got a help desk guy that you're paying $25,000 or $30,000 a year, and you can have him making those basic changes, you can lower your cost of delivering those services and keep your costs down so that you can add more customers. So, and then I always like to say, you need to toot your own horn. So when you're a managed service provider, you're doing a lot of maintenance for the customer and taking care of a lot of the things that's going on in their environment. But a lot of times they don't even know about the things that you're doing. So make sure that you're, updating tickets with all the things that you're doing, and you're checking that little box to notify the client so they get a copy of it. They know that the backup was complete, software was updated, 2 new extensions created, and all of those kind of things, so they can see that they're getting value for the money they're spending every month. So, and then the other thing I've been doing is that when you're at events like these, network with other MSPs, and find out what they're doing. There's no reason to build anything from scratch. There's lots of tools and resources out there for you to get to the point where we are a lot easier with a lot less pain than it took for us to get there. So now we've talked about managed services. I'm going to talk about some of the other areas of services where there's a little bit of money to be made as well. So during the pre-sales process, when you're talking to a customer about a new phone system, make sure you're understanding all their requirements. So if they're going to need call center functionality, mobility, paging, they're going to integrate with third-party applications, their, Salesforce or other CRMs. All of those things, are really going to increase your labor costs. So you want to make sure that you've got your scope of work defined, all the things that you're going to do, and, make sure that you really have a good handle on things, because, especially if you don't have a recurring revenue stream and you're losing money during the implementation, you're kind of really setting yourself up for failure there. So, and then obviously we want to get in there and perform a network assessment, any kind of network upgrades. We want to get the customer to agree to those. If the customer refuses, then I either have to walk away from the deal, or I'll have them sign a risk and responsibility disclaimer saying that, hey, I looked at your network. You've got network problems. If you have voice quality issues on your network and I have to come out and troubleshoot them, I'm going to bill you for that. So most of the time when you put that in front of the customer, they'll say, well, show me that network upgrade quote again, and that'll get them going on that. So we want to get those things taken care of. And then you want to make sure that your implementation is following your statement of work. So if you've given a proposal and a statement of work and all the things that you're going to do, you don't want to throw that out the window once you start the implementation. You want to make sure that you stay back and follow your original plan And then at the end of the the project, end user training is critical. You've got to make sure that your different groups of users, right? You have your typical office users. You might have call center agents. You might have call center supervisors. Executives, executive admins. All these different groups of users require a different type of training. So make sure you're getting the right training, and make sure you're getting enough training. And I would even say that after the implementation is complete, offer to come back and do a second training 2 or 3 weeks later after they've had a chance to digest some of the basics. Because then you're going to make a really happy, satisfied client, and they're going to refer you more business. So, and then also you want to make sure you get your documentation completed at the end of the project as well. And then when the project's complete, deliver the system documentation and have them sign off on the project that it's complete. I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this, but we've had problems where we completed a project, but we didn't have sign off from the customer, and they kept coming back and saying, hey, well, you guys didn't finish this or this, and we're 45 days after the installation's complete, and we're still doing services at no extra charge. So generally, I'm against doing services for no charge. So that's just me. So break fix support. During the implementation, I'm already trying to set that expectation. We're going to finish this project after we complete the scope of work, and then once we go to that, if you're not on one of our managed services plans, you call in for support. We're going to bill you. So I don't want there to be any surprises on our part or on their part, right? So always keep setting those expectations. And my general rule of thumb is bill for everything. Don't be giving things away. If you're giving things away, all you're doing is setting the expectation for the customer that they can call you, you'll do services, and you're not going to charge them for it, right? So there may be a little bit of pain on the front end, but you've got to set that expectation. And if you're doing break fix support, you want to try to build as much of that recurring revenue as you can. So when new versions of Switchvox come out and there's updates to be had, you want to get those out to the customer and let them know about all the new features that are being deployed, so that they can take advantage of those things. But that gives you more chances to bill your clients as well. And then as soon as those new features are rolled out, give those clients additional training on those new features, right? Because that wasn't in the last release, so now they've got mobility, or they've got fixed mobile convergence, or all these other great new features that are being rolled out over time. And so make sure that they know the value of the system that they're getting, and remind them, hey, you got these new features and you didn't have to pay anything extra for it other than our services to get you up and running on it. So, and then you can add low-cost recurring services like off-site backup. That's a really easy thing to do. Doesn't cost much, but it's a great value to the customer. So, is everybody in here selling SIP trunking today? Anybody that's not selling SIP trunking? A couple of guys. Are you guys looking to do it and just haven't done it yet? All right. So there's a couple of ways you can do it. We do it as an agency. So we talk to the customer about the SIP trunk services, but they're actually billed by the service provider, and then we get a commission on it. So that's our preference, a way of doing it. If you're going to do that, one of the things I would advise is to look to one of the master agents to give you guaranteed commissions. Because if you sign up directly with an individual SIP carrier and then you don't meet their volume requirements, they can revoke your commissions on customers that you've already sold. So that's one of those things I'm also against, is people taking money away from me. Or you can buy SIP trunks wholesale and bill your clients. So anybody doing that today? Got some guys back here that are doing that. So I think generally the profitability is higher, but there's more risk, right? You got to bill the client. If they don't pay you, then you've got that risk. So, and then make sure the customer's network is SIP ready. So SIP aware firewalls, quality of service, doing all of those things, and if you need to do bandwidth shaping with EdgeMark or other devices, you can do that as well to make sure the customer's networks are ready. So, and then cloud services, anybody in here selling Switchvox Cloud today? Me? A couple of us? All right. If you haven't started looking at this, this is a great opportunity to take care of those smaller customers. Typically 15 seats or fewer. Switchvox Cloud is one of those no-brainers. It's an easy sell. You're going to save the customer money, and you're going to roll out a whole slew of unified communication services that they wouldn't think they would have access to. Hosted email, obviously, is a big one. That's an easy one to add on to a Switchvox sale. We do a lot of hosted exchange. We also wrap in a lot of the email security, encryption, and archiving services around that as well. So those are ways to incrementally add additional monthly revenue. We do a lot of offsite backup and disaster recovery systems. So we're imaging all their Windows servers and storing copies locally and storing copies in the cloud. And we can recover from individual file restores. We can recover from server failures, or we restore Exchange mailboxes. And we can even recover in the cloud if the client's building burns down or there's a tornado or whatever it might be. So. And then there's also lots of other things that you can do, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and then even things like virtual desktops. So a lot of things that you can do to add services. And once you've engaged with the customer, as I always say, sell wide and sell deep. So, and that's all I have for me. So questions? We got Brian here. If anybody's got a question, we'll get the microphone out to you. So. Got one right over here.
Yeah. Well, thank you for it was very intuitive and informative. Thank you. Just when you moved in 2008 and you chose Switchvox at that time, did you look at any other alternatives at the time?
Well, we're a Cisco partner, so we had looked at Cisco, but in Dallas-Fort Worth, there's more than 500 Cisco voice partners. So I call it the Shark Tank. And so if you've ever been somebody to deliver a proposal that somebody else has already delivered the same proposal, well, in this case, you'd actually be like the fifth guy delivering the same proposal. And so the margins were very thin, and it was, really it was hard to differentiate yourself, right? So we looked at Cisco, we looked at ShoreTel and some of the others out there, but really didn't feel like they were a good fit. And so we had heard about Asterisk, and so we're not a programming shop, so we didn't want to go, open source, because that just wasn't our business model. And so we actually looked at Switchvox before Digium bought Switchvox. We looked at Finality and I think it might have been Free PBX or whatever. And so I guess just by luck of the draw, we settled on Switchvox, and then a few months later, Digium bought Switchvox, and that kind of validated our decision that we were going down the right path, because we knew that they were headed places. So, but that way, when we walk into a customer, we're apples to everybody else's oranges, and so we're talking about all the great features. We're talking about how everything's included out of the box. It's simple on licensing. If you want mobility, or if you want call recording or call center, we don't have to add additional servers. It's all included out of the box. So. So the question is Cisco coming back into the hosted voice and some of the other kinds of things? And honestly, I don't know where Cisco's going. I've heard different rumors about different things. So I'm not an expert in all the things they're doing, but obviously they're a formidable. Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. Any other questions? Got one back here.
What do you find as your biggest challenge to convincing clients to move to a managed services type format?
The biggest challenge to getting a client to move to managed services is really getting them to understand that what's the best use of their time, right? So they have their own management, they have their IT services, all of these different things. So it's where should you focus your time, right? Should you focus your time on your core business, or ancillary things like the phone system. So, and that's really where we have that, kind of that rhetorical question, do you want to be spending time, running your business, or do you want to be spending time running the phone system? So it's definitely not an answer that you're going to get the right response from every customer. So that's why we do a lot of the break-fix services as well. But for those clients who are seeing the cloud and some of the other things, it's a lot easier pitch today than it was 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. So, any other questions? Sorry. So the question is, what tool are we using to monitor our Switchvox system? So we use Level Platforms, and they offer an SNMP tool that we can basically create a policy to manage all of the Switchvox SNMP OIDs. So that's what we use today. Any other questions out there? Okay.
Are you using SNMP 2 or 3? How is it working for you?
Well, I'm a sales guy, so I'm going to have to plead ignorance here. I don't know what the flavor of SNMP is. So, but if you want to shoot me, or if for anybody who has additional questions or would like a copy of the presentation, just drop me your business card, and I'll get you a copy of the presentation, and I'll be happy to get you an answer to that question as well. So, anybody else? All right. Well, thanks for everybody for attending. I appreciate the time. And like I said, come up and talk to me.
Thank you. Thank you, David.